Hi there, you're listening to Unnatural Selection, the show about newsy type stuff and things. My name is George.
My name is Tom.
And my name is Adam.
And with our powers combined, we are Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web at unnaturalshow.com.
I love George is just immediately perked up when, Adam and I just had a good solid, couple of minutes talking about street fighting, which...
Yep.
Adam, if you would care to explain what street fighting was.
So street fighting is when you are fairly drunk and you choose to go on a crusade. Interesting choice of words there. A crusade to fight the street. Typically, some sort of greenery or shrubbery is best because concrete and metal are very hard. So... It generally meant ripping up people's front lawns, and I won't talk about any more of that.
Is this similar to the time when on your birthday, whilst suitably marinated, you decided to pick up a bunch of cherry blossoms and throw them onto the windscreen of a gentleman's Lamborghini while we were outside of a club? Is that similar to that?
No, I was very clear at the time, George, and I will say it again now. That was, in fact, a blessing. That was not a street fight. That was a blessing.
Yeah, a blessing of flowers. I don't know if the bouncer necessarily saw it that way, but...
was
it the bouncer's Lamborghini?
One would assume not, but that,
Well, okay, then the bouncer can butt out. If it's not your Lamborghini, why do you care whether or not it was blessed?
Get out of here, Keith. I think because maybe he saw the conflagration that was about to arise, perhaps, and
the street fight that was about to occur.
Yes, the actual street fight.
No. It wasn't just
a fight in the street between two people, rather than the act of fighting.
No. So that would be a fight in the street. To street fight means you are actually fighting the street.
So this is a podcast.
Therein lies the rub.
About the news.
I needed the world to know this because I thought Adam was advocating just drunken coward punch violence, and then he'd say no, I'd go punch a bush or something. And the idea of literally fighting the street you are on, it tickled me. Anyway, George, continue.
It's a podcast about the news that, when all else fails, ventures into comedy unsuspectingly.
Great.
We're yet to do so, though.
So Australia's social media ban for under 16s has started today. Here's what you should know.
Well, has it started today?
Well,
it officially started on December the 10th.
On the 10th.
And anecdotally, I understand many children still have their social media accounts. I was catching up with someone who has a 13-year-old son, and he was like, "Yep, I still have my Snapchat." And his mum was saying, "I'm checking in with him every day," being like, "Do you still have it?" "Yes, I do." So, has it started?
Well, so this is the thing. It is very much a phased approach. So the government, in an effort to, and I'm still convinced this is the major reason why they're pressing ahead with this initiative, is because of the international attention it's getting, not because of necessarily the policy bona fides. But it is, it's definitely a phased in approach. And so Annika Wells was on this week on the international podcast Pod Save the World from the Pod Save America guys spruiking it. And that was really interesting to hear an Australian minister on an international world politics podcast whose listeners, I might hasten to add, the majority of which are not in Australia, going out and spruiking it and sort of telling them what it is and why it's so great. So to my mind, that's clearly evidence of the fact that they're playing to an international audience. Australia is doing a world first, and we want to get out there and talk about how many world firsts we're doing first in the world out on various media channels internationally.
While the rest of the world is looking at this world first and being like, well, I can't wait to see how badly this grabbed the popcorn.
So during this interview on Pod Save the World, Annika Wells was the minister responsible, was talking about how, it's a phased approach. And yes, there's fines of up to $50 million, but, it's going to phase in over time. And we're asking the social media networks to provide us data on their usage and the amount of people that they think are under 16 that are still on the platform. And if it's not going down, then... So they're trying to act like it's a very consulted... whilst the language and the verbiage in the legislation is quite direct, the messaging around it from the government has been like, don't worry, we'll slowly kind of like ease into this. There's no need for anyone to be afraid just yet.
Yes.
Yet.
Afraid?
Well, social media.
They would say that.
Social media executives, for them to be afraid.
Right.
So it's they've registered a number of social media apps, including all the ones you would expect: Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Reddit, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitch, X, and YouTube, as well as a
Not
platform.
YouTube for kids, though.
I was going to say,
Well,
George,
the
you
YouTube
skipped
thing is
Kick.
Kick was the one that I was unfamiliar with, which I wanted to mention at the end there, just because I have no fucking clue what it is. But you'll notice notable exceptions there include things like messaging apps and Discord and Roblox and other like gaming sort of adjacent sort of social media type, gaming communities and things like that. Yeah, Twitch, which is where a lot Twitch is on there. But other kinds of, kind of like adjacent social media type networks where a lot of young people congregate are not included on this list, though they may be in the future. So it's a little bit of a sort of suck it and see approach from the government in that the legislation sucks and we'll see how it goes. But I mean, we've been talking about this pretty openly for a while at this point, saying that, the legislation, as it's been described at least, is not really fit for purpose. I don't think it's going to achieve what it is that the government is trying to achieve. And I think...
Well, it's a hands-off approach. It's like, it's here's the ban, you guys figure it out.
Yeah, and tell the Safety Commissioner what's up. And we're just going to trust that they report all of this stuff accurately.
And, the AI algorithms that are now running Meta are, they're notorious for being well balanced and being accurate and giving procedural fairness to all those involved. So I think there's nothing to worry about here, guys. The AI will sort it out for us. And of course, that's sarcasm. If you hadn't worked that out, the AI algorithms at Meta are woeful.
I don't know why more of an emphasis wasn't placed on, because I don't think that children under the age of 16 should have access to social media. I also don't think that boomers over 65 should have access to social. I don't think anyone should really have access to social media, because I see it as kind of a blight on our society, in that we've all sort of poisoned each other's brains by huffing each other's farts in these online sort of spaces and just kind of like ruined the political discourse. So I don't know why more emphasis hasn't been placed on, making online spaces safer for children in general, like tweaking the algorithm. And maybe it's just because algorithms are a black box to a certain degree and government ministers just don't fucking understand them. But like, why the emphasis hasn't been, hey, Facebook, you've got all this dreck.
You ban all the Nazis
on your platform, or you got all these Nazis, you got all this horrible content for kids. Why don't you mandatorily deprioritize some of that information so it's not being surfaced to young
because
children?
They can't. There's too much. This is what I'm saying. The problem is there is too much content.
Yeah.
And Meta, some years ago, fired most of their content moderators. Not most of, but like a decent proportion of them. They are using AI algorithms to do this work for them.
Can't you use AI algorithms to monitor the AI algorithms and see what stuff has been surfaced? That's you know what I mean? Like,
the problem is there's too much content, there's too many users, it's too hard to... Twitter tried, right?
Well,
Twitter
prior
tried
to
Musk.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And even that was still...
The Muskening.
It's still... Even then, it was still...
It wasn't great. It was certainly better than the, kind of vituperous Nazi fuckfest that it is now. Yeah. But yes.
Now, you could argue, you could argue, well, these companies are earning billions and billions of dollars in profit. Maybe they should be obligated to do this. Well, I mean, that's not how the corporate capitalist world we live in works. So, I mean, I don't know. It's a bad... It's the whole thing is bad, because at the end of the day, and this is the whole thing about them being like publishers or
platforms.
Like, what was the platforms, right?
Yeah. You're talking about, I think it's Section 230 in the United States Code, which gives them essentially an exemption for everything that's published on the platform.
Yeah.
Because
are they responsible for what's on their platform?
Unlike the Washington Post, they're not directly posting the content, and so therefore
So
they're sort of a step removed from the
it's
consequences of it, right?
it seems like as a tech sector, aside from AI algorithms running and checking content, which they do, like I know I run
That's definitely happening. Yeah,
I run a laser skirmish group, and our stuff is moderated by that algorithm, but it's not particularly effective.
Shadow banned by the woke mafia,
Shadow
Adam.
But it's not particularly effective at what it does. So I guess my point being here is that like we've sort of given up collectively on content moderation as a society, and because at the end of the day as well, what this legislation doesn't really take into account, it's going to have to be reactive. Is well, okay, Kick or I don't know, Snapchat. Kids can't get on those anymore. Someone else will just create a new app.
Yeah.
And the kids will just migrate across, which is what's happened traditionally. The only one that's lasted the length, I guess, is probably Facebook, and X are probably the longest running ones. But even then, they've had to evolve and change with the times. Like, if they stayed with their original platform models, they would have gone bust years ago. So, anyway, the point being here is it's a broken system with a broken piece of legislation to fix it. And
I would argue, though,
like,
that there's not sufficient technical understanding from policymakers and lawmakers as to what these things do and how they work. Because I think if there were, we would have better policy rather than this, which feels very reactive. Like, anyone under 16, you're done. And the whole thing that initiated this was a campaign called 36 Months, which was initiated by Whipper, of Monty and Whipper fame, the radio personality, in conjunction with the CEO of some advertising firm, based on, I guess, reading some books online about how bad social media is for kids. And it is. I'm not disputing that. Like, I've started reading and never finished reading The Anxious Generation, which talks a lot about the degradation that social media has on the mental health of young people. I'm not denying any of that, but it just seems like A, it's not going to work, B, it's not going to do what you think it's going to do, and C, it's being enforced in a way that's uneven and easily circumnavigatable. So it's like, I don't know what the purpose of this is at this point.
It's a massive publicity stunt at this
except
point.
for the publicity piece, that it makes the government look like they're doing something about the kids and the big bad internet. And it's like, and the thing that really drives this home for me is the statement that Anthony Albanese made this week to the kids, in horizontal video, no less, which, as we know, for a Gen Y is basically an assault on the senses. And where
it could easily be presented in the vertical 9:16, though, George. Like, everything important is within that window. Someone's thought about it.
I just want to see it on a TikTok. Hey kids, it's Anthony Albanese. Like and subscribe.
But if you're on a TikTok,
it's your mate Tony.
You won't see it. Yeah. They shouldn't be on there. Yeah. You can't put this message out on TikTok. You won't reach the audience.
Yeah, anyway, so here's Anthony Albanese's address to the nation, which left a little something wanting, in my opinion. Here it is.
Hi there, students. It's the Prime Minister here, and I wanted to speak to you directly about something very important. From December 10, if you're under 16, you're no longer allowed to have a social media account.
Oh my God, it's only 13 seconds in. It's so boring.
You'll know better than anyone what it's like growing up with algorithms, endless speeds, and the pressure that can come with that. That's why we've taken this step to support you. If you have questions, by all means, reach out. Talk to your parents, your teachers, and your friends.
Place a comment down below.
And if you feel like you need more support, Headspace and Kids Helpline is there to assist. Above all, make the most of the school holidays coming up, rather than spending it scrolling on your phone. Start a new sport, learn a new instrument, or read that book that has been sitting there on your shelf for some time. And importantly, spend quality time with your friends and your family, face to face. Have a great summer.
So,
has his list gotten worse? I think it's getting worse.
It's me, Anthony Albanese. Read a book.
Oh, let's not make fun of the list.
Oh no, I feel bad for him. I'm just saying, I don't know. It felt very. I I hope he's okay. It's my
just
point.
like-
He's
Like,
fine.
anyway,
But just like fuck all the way off with that, because they've been championing this
very
for
condescending.
like a year, like,
Yeah.
since the last election and before the last election, of this being all about protecting the kids from like graphic pornography, like harmful content,
Which it doesn't
just
do,
like
by the way.
appearing all over their phones, which we've talked about at length, is
Doesn't-
like
doesn't
it
do
won't
any of
work,
those
or
things.
they'll be able to circumvent. But this message is all about no, your summers should be spent outside with a stick and a ball and a pocket full of dreams. Like, get the kids, like, this is huge go play outside energy.
Back in
rather
my
than-
day, you could buy a bag
Yeah.
of oranges for a nickel.
yeah,
even
right. And
even
if
for us growing up, like we still had like MSN. Like, it's not like this is a new
Yes.
concept. Like, there were chat
Right.
rooms back in the day. There were blogs. People sharing. Even
And
if it's
also,
like physically
television
sharing flash videos
feeling-
around the schoolyard.
Yeah, to use the specific examples of like go play sport, go outside, or like read that book, all that sort of stuff.
No one
Like,
reads. No one reads
TV
books
well,
anymore,
I was thinking
Anthony.
more like,
Shut up.
You haven't banned television. You
Yes.
haven't banned like all these
Video
other like
games.
very indoor screen-based activities. So that's not it's not what you said this was about. I thought this was about protecting the kids from like harmful quote unquote content. So what is it like? Oh, pick up that book you've been meaning to read, and that book's fucking American Psycho.
Yeah.
Or like, oh no, get off your phone. Don't doom scroll TikToks to see all the jiggly boobies. Go get your older brother's porno mags from under the bed like we used to. Like,
Back in my
what
day,
are
we
you
used to have
talking
to
about?
find a penthouse out in the woods.
Yeah,
and that
you
was
had to
the
go
only
out-
way you could jerk
Yeah.
off. Is
You had
if you
to
found an
find
FHM in the
some-
woods.
Yeah, you had to find some guy's like porn stash that's buried out in the middle of nowhere, and then enjoy that. Like, what? What the
Let's go
fuck?
watch
Like,
go watch the football and all the gambling ads that go along with it.
right?
yeah,
It-
yeah.
This has just turned into like
The other thing it doesn't really do is like, this is obviously about like, if you've got an account, but of course like Reddit, YouTube,
Yeah,
even
all you need
Facebook,
to do is just
can
go
get
onto YouTube without an account, and then you can watch all the
Just
content again. And it's like, and now
Twitch,
all of the
you
kids'
don't-
protections are not
unless it's
are not available.
unless it's
so-
age gated. Like age gated stuff on YouTube requires a lot. Like you have to have logged in.
Yeah, but there's
If,
plenty
like,
of harmful
what the
stuff
person
that you could
has-
find.
Yeah,
without
precisely.
an age
Yeah.
gated. Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. I
It's-
really
well,
don't
just
know
like-
why they're pushing
Right,
ahead
go
with this.
go
It
to
was-
Google, turn safe search off,
Just search
and
boobs.
have at it.
Just go to Pornhub. Like all of the stuff is still there. Like it doesn't stop
Yeah,
any of
right?
it. So I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I'm wary of criticizing them for not like fixing the internet, because I understand that that's a very difficult thing to do in this day and age. But
Yes.
like it doesn't do the thing that they're purporting to do.
No.
And
And they're selling it like it is.
it is. Yeah. And
Yes.
and kids are going
And-
to find ways around this. They're going to
Yeah.
it's not going to provide the kind of barrier that they're claiming it's going to provide. Like of all
Yeah.
the people that know how to get around fucking, VPNs and all this sort of, it's going to be Zoomers. It's going to be Gen Alpha, right? These are the kids that know how
Yeah.
to navigate the internet because they're internet natives. And so it's not really
Yeah.
going to do much, I'm sad to say. Like,
Blanket banning stuff like this never works. Education is always the answer.
Yeah.
Like, what they should be doing is
well, and regulation.
championing like internet literacy.
Yes.
And like, yeah, you have to have the difficult conversations with your kids about the kind of shit that's out there. Like, it should be being taught. Like, yeah, you can't just, because of all the, like, I know, like, hot take, but I guess because of all the actual positives that interacting on these platforms bring to some people.
Or
like,
can bring, yes.
yeah, that it can bring. Like, yeah, you essentially you need to teach people to use these platforms sensibly, and also pressure the companies to fucking tweak their impossible algorithms. Like, it's
Or
difficult.
just
but-
hire more
Well,
like
we can
hire more
tweak the
content
impossible
moderators.
algorithms.
Exactly.
We can tweak the impossible algorithms to maximize productivity. That doesn't and dollars in. That doesn't seem to
Oh,
be a
yeah.
problem. But when it seems to be maximizing positive social outcomes, all of a sudden, oh, it's too hard. I don't know what this
Yeah.
algorithm does. This is my first day.
I do wonder whether that this worldwide selling tour is actually sort of some 4D chess by various members of the Western world to literally do that, to pressure these social media companies in the US to play ball, because at the moment, it's like, oh, yeah, Australia. Australia's the test bed, right? Everyone else is watching this to see how it's going to go, including some people in the United States. So I wonder whether there is some sort of more broad campaign of like, if every country piles on, then are the social media companies forced to take greater action because it eventually will destroy them and their profit margins? Or am I being too glib about that? I don't know.
I mean, they did threaten the big internet companies when this was first announced, threatened to leave the region. More or less all of them said, oh, we'll just pull out of Australia. And it turns out there's gold in their minds. So, they're willing to stay because the threat of, the $50 million fine is still less than the amount of money that they know that they're going to pull out of all of our attention mining, over the next couple of years. So it's like still obviously worth it for them. And I think that's why governments have more power than they realize in this regard. Like they've gone into with this softly approach. And we've talked about the pilots and facial recognition and how all that was balked and how you couldn't use a government ID. You couldn't mandate the use of a government ID, which would actually like guarantee all of this. But it's like, I don't know. At the end of the day, it makes more sense for them to be here than not. The internet companies. So, if they want to operate here, if they want to make money here on our shores, then they got to abide by our rules. And if we say the way you are doing things is unsafe, and Facebook says, "Oh, we're going to pull out of the region," you say, "Fucking good, get out of here. You suck." And then you, as the government, I feel like has more cover with the populace to be like, "Look, we want to make sure that they're operating safely here." And they said, "No, thanks, we don't want to operate safely," and they left. And that was their choice, not ours. Like if this goes pear-shaped, which I'm almost certain it will, the rollout of this plan, the government's going to be the one left holding the bag because they've done international media talking about how fucking good of a deal it is.
Awesome it is. Yeah.
And
when it's not, there's going to be no one else to blame. Like,
they're definitely going to be the ones to blame for it. Reddit, on the day that this started, I think like a couple of days ago, filed to the High Court to sue the government over this legislation, not because of them being like, as they've said, not because we're like telling them to fuck off. This is like banning kids is a bad idea or whatever, but them being like the way that this is being implemented and the way you've gone about deciding the platforms is not accurate enough. Like they're arguing that they aren't even sort of a platform that under 16s are often on based on their data, saying And all
you need to do is find some company, some new social media network. Lemonade is one that I saw is a Yope, Yope. All you need to do is, you experience some migration to some services that aren't on the list, that aren't willing to cooperate because they're hosted overseas. And like the whole thing is completely negated, right? So it's just, or you just switch on a VPN
Blue Sky
and say
not on there.
You just turn on a VPN and say you're in Indonesia, and then that's it. The end of the story. So
The other sidebar this week politically that was interesting was, of course, there's been an expense scandal with the communications minister, who is the, I guess, person in charge of the
Annika
portfolio
Wells.
to
Annika
Wells to
about
release this
expense scandals. They're like, she took a lot of flights and they're expensive. I was like, I'm sure they all do. Like, I could not care less.
It's I mean, she's taking her family to like ski trips and sporting events and stuff, but within the rules. But I guess what was interesting politically was that you got
to change the rules.
And now the rules were set by Malcolm Turnbull as well.
If my expense account for work said you can take your family on a ski trip, you bet your bottom dollar that I would be taking my family on a fucking ski trip. Are you sure? It's in the rules? It's allowed? Okay, well, I'm going to fucking Mount Buller then. Goodbye.
Yeah, you can't say what the rules are and then change them on me while I'm doing it.
And then go, George, I can't believe you took your family to Mount Buller. I was like, well, there's a Mount Buller clause in the fucking contract. So what are you talking about?
That's hilarious as well, because like her expenses were like still like number 20 or 24 or something on the list, whereas like Peter
That's
Dutton,
what I'm saying. They're all doing it. They're all fucking doing it.
And
I've heard stories of ministers, they get a stipend to rent a place in Canberra, but meanwhile it's a place that they own and they're paying the stipend to themselves, and like there's all this dodgy shit that's going on. And
Susan Lady like buying that apartment while also on a trip to
government
like a few years
paid
ago,
expenses to go up to Queensland for the express purposes of buying an apartment. She goes, no, I was there for a speech on important government business. It's like, oh, really? You just ducked in to buy an apartment? Okay. But like,
Yeah, cool.
I couldn't give a shit about any of that because honestly, that makes a fraction, like whilst it looks bad, it makes up 0.001% of the government budget. And I'm much more concerned about the 385 checks notes, 390 checks notes, $400 billion going out to fucking submarines for no good reason. That's probably a larger portion of our expenses that I think needs to be addressed rather than Annika Wells's $130,000 worth of travel.
It just looks bad. But like, what's been interesting politically is that both the Murdoch media, all media actually, has been hammering
coincidence that
Annika
she's got a
Wells
big policy rolling out and there's an expense scandal the same
this
week.
week.
What a fucking coincidence.
To the point where, the tactic was that she self-referred herself like to the like expenses watchdog, and they were like, well, we can't comment on it now because there's an ongoing
It's an ongoing investigation.
I was going to say, this is step 6. You welcome the investigation.
Welcome the investigation.
And you're working with them. You're cooperating
with the inquiry. Can't comment on the inquiry. But anyway, so they did that right before they were going to make the announcement of it going live. And I was like, well, that's politics. That is some savvy messaging from the communications minister.
Yeah, and it just goes to show how much of it is just not, it's just about the people and the politics and not about, we're just doing due diligence into the, like, it's just like, it's completely cynical and it's completely transparent that it is, right?
Yeah.
So,
and she didn't do a press conference. Like she was doing press conferences like daily up like last week, and then the week just gone, she like didn't do a press conference for the entire week. Anthony Albanese was questioned and was like, no, I'm not answering that. No. Anyway, I just find the politics of it amazing.
Speaking of gross politics,
yes,
Linda Reynolds, as our senior, no, I'm not going to make that joke. As our senior politics correspondent, Adam, why don't you tell us a little bit about the Brittany Higgins saga and what's been going on with her former boss, Linda Reynolds, who we all agree has had her reputation restored as a result of the actions in the last couple of weeks.
Look, without going into the full history,
No,
Brittany
Adam.
Higgins.
No, Adam. I want the full history.
From the beginning, from the Big Bang.
I need you to start at least at the Cretaceous period. Cretaceous? I've had
Nailed
a whiskey.
Yeah,
I need you to start
Cretaceous.
early.
The Jurassic. So Brittany Higgins. Obviously, there was the trial last year around Lisa Wilkinson suing Channel 10, and then as part of that, it was found on the balance of probabilities that Bruce Lerman did in fact rape Brittany Higgins. He denies that.
Yeah, and to clarify, that's a civil proceeding. It has not established any guilt in terms of a like a crime.
And it was the outcome of his defamation case.
Yes,
correct as well.
Which he launched. Yeah, which is hilarious.
Yeah, incredible.
And the key members of the Conservative Party being quite litigious people over the last number of years. Linda Reynolds was the former defence minister and was, I guess, Brittany Higgins' boss at the time of the alleged rape. Now, during and after this, Linda Reynolds sued Brittany Higgins and her husband, David Shiraz, for defamation due to a number of social media posts that Brittany Higgins and David Shiraz made back at the time when this was all playing out in the public eye.
Yeah, I think they were suggesting that she was running sort of cover or interference.
Basically, she was trying to cover it up was the implication.
Yeah, was the implication.
And anyway, a couple of weeks ago.
She was hanging out at Bruce Lerman's trial and giving him advice. But anyway, go on.
Yep. So this was all playing out sort of at the same time, right? So anyway, the Lisa Wilkinson one finished up earlier this year, and recently the Linda Reynolds defamation trial directly against Brittany Higgins and David Shiraz has wrapped up as well, and the court found that yes, Linda Reynolds was defamed. And Brittany Higgins
you got that rape victim, Linda. You sure showed her not to post on social media mean.
So Brittany Higgins was ordered to pay something like $315,000. David Shiraz is ordered to pay like $220,000 plus costs.
Yeah,
Okay,
costs.
so
Linda Reynolds. Linda Reynolds, like lawyer.
Linda Reynolds said
like it's at least $1 million.
Yeah, and she was ordered to pay 80% of that. And now Brittany Higgins, I think, had said previously that amount runs into the millions multiple. So
yeah.
I
mean, of course, it was in the Supreme Court. It wasn't like it was a a magistrate's trial. It was a pretty hefty, barristers. It's not a cheap process.
Lots of people with wigs.
Anyway,
Richard Roxburgh yelling Barney.
Now, Brittany Higgins was awarded compensation by the government in 2022 to the tune of $2.4 million. But given Brittany Higgins has been literally in and out of courtrooms for the last
just never-ending parade
3 or
of court
4
cases,
years,
since that time.
I don't think that's lasted very long, and to the point now where, in pursuing those costs, Linda Reynolds has basically successfully got a court to make Brittany Higgins bankrupt. To get access to.
So basically, what happened is the court said you've got to pay this money. The money, well, we don't know how much money there is. Some money's in a trust. It's been sort of talked about that there's some sort of assets held in a trust. It was made public that her and David Shiraz, her husband, had to sell a property they'd purchased in France for about $700,000. So unclear if that's money is going to support these court cases and their lawyers' fees, or what's exactly going on, or if there are other assets that are being preserved in this trust. And then this is a way of potentially Linda Reynolds and her lawyers going after that trust in order to get access to those assets or whatever. It's not exactly clear to me from the reporting exactly how much of that $2.4 million is left. But I would argue that for someone who, on the balance of probabilities in a civil case, has found to have been raped in your office, as Linda Reynolds, as that person's former boss, I don't know that it would be my first priority to sue that person for defamation, and then once having successfully sued that person for defamation, then proceed to sue them again to make them bankrupt in order to liquidate their assets and recover whatever small amount of money remains. I don't know if that would be my first priority if I were a good person personally.
Interesting. She was on, so when I say she, Linda Reynolds was on 7:30 earlier this week. And I was like, oh, interesting. I'll turn this up and have a listen to see. Because there was the whole thing around Mad Cow and other stuff that she may or may not have said, I think, which potentially is related to those social media posts. I was like, okay, let's see what this lady has to say. Lying cow. Lying cow, I'm sorry.
It was alleged that she called Brittany Higgins a lying cow in some communication, but that was she said it was in reference to something else. I was like, oh, okay, so calling your employee a lying cow in any circumstance, I would have argued, is probably not great. But yep, go on.
Obviously what became clear in this interview was that Linda Reynolds was deeply affected by the whole unfolding of these events.
That is her claim.
That she was basically had a sort of mental breakdown and it affected her health. Like Scott Morrison had to console her. And the other thing that she talked about a lot was...
things have gone bad when Scott Morrison is the closest shoulder to cry on. Jesus Christ.
Like to the point where she was sobbing on the floor of this Parliament somewhere, and Scott Morrison's got his arm around her, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Imagine.
But the other thing that she sort of talked about at length in the interview was the fact that, there were other Liberal Party colleagues gunning for her job, and they didn't help her, and also that the Labor Party was on a sort of, a quote unquote, well, actually, I won't quote it because I don't know what she said, but I don't exactly remember what she said, but it was basically on some sort of like witch hunt
Yes.
The Labour Party. It's still somehow Labour's fault.
Well, Labor really went hard at them during this time, basically saying that
unlike
there
the Liberal
was,
Party, who's
that there
normally
was a cover-up.
normally so restrained in their critique of the other side.
But what was interesting was that, 20 minutes of this interview was really a critique of the politics of the day, which Brittany Higgins had nothing really to do with.
Yeah. She was a Liberal Party staffer, right?
Right. So, Labor used it as a political opportunity. Sure, and you guys haven't done that. Your Liberal colleagues were gunning for the defence position. Yeah. Who hasn't done that in the Liberal Party and also the Labor Party? It's the defence minister position.
Yeah.
I found her just to sort of be a bit of a, not narcissist, but particularly self-centered with the whole thing.
I think it takes
zero
a particular
perspective.
kind of self-centeredness to sue a rape victim.
Yeah, the whole thing wasn't about Linda Reynolds. Linda Reynolds and Michaelia Cash were a sideshow.
Yeah.
Their part of it was providing evidence to the greater unfolding of events. It wasn't about their reputation.
No,
it was about
and
whether or
Streisand
not
affected this whole thing into being by launching this litany of legal cases against an adjudicated rape victim. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's pretty disgusting. I mean, that's why I made the joke at the top. Her name is cleared. It's this makes you look much worse than you did before, Linda, to my eye. I'll be completely honest with you. You might have won this case, but you lost my heart, Linda.
Yeah. Well done, girl boss. You sued a rape victim into bankruptcy. Big slay.
Let it go, Linda.
Let it go.
She was just so angry, but just cold. Sarah Henderson, I think, is the 7:30 host.
Yeah.
She was do you feel empathy for Brittany Higgins as a rape survivor? And now Linda Reynolds did say, you could see the political
totally. So much empathy. I understand other human beings and that they don't revolve around me, the center of the universe.
Yeah. Now, look, she said yes, but she didn't say yes. She said
but she didn't,
other
but she
words
didn't smile with her
around
eyes at him. There was nothing behind the eyes. It was dead inside.
Yes. She said yes, but it was a long way around to get to the yes. Do you know what I mean? It's when I was a member of the, do you know what I mean? Political answers where there's no need for a political answer.
Yeah. You don't really need to qualify.
Hey, Adam, ask me if I feel empathy for rape victims like Brittany Higgins.
Hey, George, do you feel empathy for rape victims like Brittany Higgins?
Yes. I do, very much so. Yeah, it's a horrible experience they've had to go through. Of course, yeah.
That's not what she did.
Okay. Oh, okay, that's weird. This is the quote from Linda Reynolds. This quote: "This is not a step that I wanted to take or have taken lightly," she said. "But of course, you did take it, Linda. And on top of securing the judgment and getting the win in your defamation case, thus communicating to the entire world that you have been defamed, you then proceeded to take the additional step of suing her again to make her bankrupt in order to recover the court costs." So she spent, what we know about Linda Reynolds, okay, is that on spec, not knowing whether she would win the judgment or not, spent at least $1 million in lawyers' fees out of pocket, $1 million and years of her time to win her defamation case against Brittany Higgins. That is so much time and effort and money, not knowing full well that Brittany Higgins is not some multimillionaire. Yes, she was awarded a judgment by the court, but as we've said, some of that's in trusts. Some of that is, obviously gone into her defending herself against all of these lawsuits. This is not Kerry Packer or something like that that's a millionaire. This is a human being that was victimized in your office, and you are spending time, money, effort, and energy for multiple years to take this person down over consecutive court cases. It's just it's just grotesque. This is not a step I wanted to take. Well, you did take it, Linda. You have successfully sued a rape victim twice. So it's I think no one had a gun against your head, Linda, and said you have to do this. Or your reputation, what are people going to say about you, Linda? You have to do it.
And what she said at 7:30, and what's obvious is that she needs to go after this because she physically can't afford to pay her own legal costs. So it's a step of desperation from Linda Reynolds to try and recoup these costs. In trying to recoup the costs, she is also spending more costs to try and recoup the costs.
The only winner out of this is the lawyers, honestly, legitimately.
Yeah,
so you know what we need to do to get the money? Sue harder.
Yeah,
now I need a team of 6.
You're doing this because you can't afford to pay the legal costs. Then why did you make the challenge? Like, there's a whole other discussion around, like, you know, how defending your name and reputation in a court of law in Australia is a rich person's entitlement.
Hobby.
Like, you know, that like people much lower on the socioeconomic scale cannot defend themselves in court due to these insane costs unless they win in those like no win, no fee kind of scenarios, or public defenders or whatever. So like,
which I mean, public defenders wouldn't take on a civil case. But yes, it is the preserve of the rich to sue for defamation. Yes.
Yeah, well, or even to like give yourself a good defense in court. Like you like, you know, when people say get good lawyers, it's like, yeah, like only the wealthy can afford good lawyers, right? So yeah, it's like on the one hand, I'm sympathetic to that, but on the other hand, so then Linda, what if you didn't win? Like, you wouldn't have been able to afford this.
You'd be out of pocket $1 million. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you'd be out of a pocket $1 million. So maybe in this context, because it's not like you were being accused of murder or something like that, where
maybe
like
just
you
let
have
it go,
to defend yourself.
And the Australian public
maybe
never
just
would have
vehemently
heard.
deny what Brittany Higgins was saying about you. Like keep saying like, no, it's not true. I reject those, whatever. But like,
and it would have been a news story for a day, and then we never would have fucking heard about it ever again. Yeah. You were the defense minister, which is one of the most powerful people in the country. I reckon there's 10,000 people a day that are shitting on the defense minister, tweeting nasty things. You know, that is simply a factor of being on social media and in the public eye in the age of 2025 of the year of our Lord. That is simply the case, is you will face historic levels of vitriol from the public. Now, I would argue that a bigger person, not physically bigger, but morally bigger, might just take that sort of thing in their stride. I'm not saying it doesn't demolish people's egos or upset them to hear those sorts of things, but you have agreed to be in the public eye, and you accept with that.
This is the reality of
a
politics.
Certain reality. There is a certain level of criticism and nastiness that you will face by being a senior member of the government in the public eye. And you know what? You are rewarded handsomely for that monetarily as well as with power, as well as with contracts, as well as with whatever cushy fucking consulting job that you land into after working in the defense industry, which mysteriously happens to work on fucking submarines like Scott Morrison, you know, like that is the cost of being in public life in a senior position, is you will have to endure some hardships. Yes.
Yeah, there's a limit to it of like, you know, fucking death threats and shit like that. It's like, no, you're not signing up for any of that. But yeah, you're absolutely right that like, yeah, people are going to say critical things of you when you are literally shaping the world around them. Yes. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
you might get some mean tweets. And you would just
might get some mean tweets.
Sack up and deal with that. I'm sorry.
I mean, another former defense minister and then went running for the fucking leadership of the country, Peter Dutton, famously sued mean tweet for a shit ton of money. And then, an exact example of what I was talking about, that, hey, you, like, to defend yourself, like, I forget that man's name. Shane Barzy, I want to say. It was, Shane Barzy. Had to, like, crowdfund so much to try and, like, defend himself against the juggernaut that is Peter Dutton coming after him, right? So, it's fucked up. So, Linda, what the fuck?
Speaking of fucked up, Thailand and Cambodia are sort of at war again. Oh
boy.
Donald Trump, back in July, famously was like, I've sorted it. I'm going to give myself the Nobel Peace Prize.
It's one of his 8 wars that he solved. Haven't you heard, Adam?
Yeah,
he won the FIFA Peace Prize last month, which was definitely real and not a thing made up to appease Donald Trump and stroke his ego.
Who were some former recipients of the FIFA Nobel Peace Prize?
No,
it's inaugural.
He's the first. He's the inaugural first one.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't FIFA, the notoriously not corrupt FIFA.
Bring us a feast.
They got rid of the former FIFA boss for like corruption, and they brought in a guy who's probably just as corrupt. Anyway, Donald Trump, has tried to have a phone call with the Thai. Well, he did have a phone call with the Thai Prime Minister to try and calm things down. It hasn't really worked. There have been.
But he's the deal maker in chief, Adam.
No.
Well, out of the deal, how did he?
Just asked them really nicely, and they said no. I think is kind of what's happened. Yeah,
that's all I've got.
Shit.
That's everything I had in the tank. Is to just ask them nicely to stop fighting, and they didn't. That's weird.
It's the whole book. The rest of it's like a good recipe for bolognese.
Yeah.
What you want to do is you want to take 2 bay leaves. All right, you want them fresh. You don't want to use the dried bay leaves. They're no good. Okay, terrible bay leaves.
So, for people's reference, just to go back a step, the two countries have not been really happy with their border. Which
a lot of people use a Shiraz. I would recommend something lighter like a Merlot, okay? Or maybe like even a Pinot Noir. You don't want something too heavy in that bolognese, okay?
Okay, this is a lot of bolognese jokes.
A lot of people don't recognize the importance of basil, okay? You want fresh basil. You don't want the dried stuff.
What is happening?
It's terrible. Okay, I'm telling you right now, you want fresh basil or it's nothing. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, the land border, which is 800 kilometers long.
Fresh tomatoes. Adam, I can't tell you the importance of fresh tomatoes. You don't want to use the canned stuff. It's no good.
I mean,
many people have said so. Okay, I'm not the first. I don't care if it makes me unpopular. People say...
It's understandable that he filled the rest of a book with the recipe. There's a lot of fine
now,
detail.
let's talk about meat. I'm done. I swear I'm done. I'm sorry. I
don't know what happened.
I'm done with this bit, I promise.
Okay. Anyway, their border was set by some French cartographers in 1907 when it was like Indochina.
I reckon probably like right here. What do you think? Jean-Pierre, I reckon this is good. I think we do a straight line straight through that mountain and we call it a day. We have some baguette.
So they haven't been really happy with it sort of since then. And
weird.
There's been, there's been previous skirmishes and stuff over the years and, sort of small conflicts. And then, tensions flared in July. Anyway, and so for the last week and a half, they've been sort of shooting over the border either side. So there's been the Thais have been dropping F-16s, using F-16s to drop bombs on various targets. The
Cambodians are laying landmines. I read something about that.
Well,
that's what the Thai. That's what the Thai Prime Minister said.
A bunch of soldiers are obviously crossing the border, by the sounds of it, in Thailand into Cambodia, and they've said, well, several of our soldiers have been injured by landmines, but Cambodia have said, well, they've been there since the Civil War in the 80s, so,
Those are old landmines. Those are old, ages ago war crimes.
Yeah, and there are shitloads of landmines.
They're not fresh war crimes. Those are old war crimes. I can't be held to the standard of being responsible for my predecessors' war crimes. That'd be crazy. We did lots of crazy shit. Okay.
There's sort of several hundred that have been, or a couple of hundred now that have been injured, and tens that have died. But yeah, it seems to be they're just like shooting artillery and bombing each other on either side of the border with some small incursions here or there. What's interesting, this is another article which I didn't post, but I think is linked in the main article. So there are these scam centers that are set up on the Cambodian side of the border. Now, when I say scam centers, basically they're criminal run organizations in buildings and stuff, infrastructure, that have the sort of tacit support of the Cambodian political elite.
So when you get a call that says it's the ATO, you need to pay your income tax right now, Linda, because otherwise we're going to fucking come to your house with jackbooted thugs. So you need to go and buy a bunch of iTunes gift cards right now and fucking send them to me or I'm going to cut your head off. That's probably taking place from one of these call centers in a developing country where people
in developing country
being human trafficked and don't want to do it. And
in that accent?
Yeah, Linda, fucking get it.
Because that's a great attention to detail. They're very good at what they do.
I've got a voice coach and I fucking nailed the accent. I'll be completely honest. I'm ripping off grannies left and right. Absolutely nailing it.
Just to bring the mood down as well, there's a lot of human trafficking that happens through these scam centers.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't scam for the love of it. They scam because they've got your family in a fucking
Yeah. And it's not just in Cambodia, like Myanmar, the Golden Triangle.
I've heard about
Myanmar
one of these places in India. It's all over the developing world. Thankfully, though, a lot of this scamming is going to get taken over by AI soon. So you don't have to worry about these people getting human trafficked. They'll now just be jobless.
Yeah, jobless. So what? The other thing that's happening on these border regions is that there's a bunch of casinos. So gambling is illegal in Thailand. But what they used to do is just cross the border and go to these casinos in Cambodia. So some of these casinos, again, have been allegedly the front of
organized
crime. Center of
that never happened.
Organized crime. What
casinos? Since when?
And where these scam centers have been located.
What do you mean gambling as an industry harvests human misery and turns it into dollars? I've never heard that before. That's so strange.
So Thailand's not been happy about these facilities and criminal organizations and, partly government sort of supported, allegedly, sitting right on the border. This is one of the reasons why they're sort of saying, well, enough's enough. So what they've been doing is they've been shelling and bombing these casinos to try and this is the additional thing they've been saying is that there's weapons and munitions. This is what the Israelis do. Oh yeah, there's definitely
tunnels. There's Hamas under the casinos, Adam.
And there's munitions. They're storing rockets in these casinos because it's the only infrastructure that's around, so they have to use it. And that may or may not be true. There could be some credence to that, and it's highly likely that the casinos are being used for nefarious purposes. But by the same token, Thailand is knowingly bombing areas that are already being used as human rights, already the site of a human rights crime, and they're bombing that. So there is this footage of...
That's an interesting legal question. If you kill... if you kill someone at the site of a human rights crime, does that cancel each other out? If you cancel out... If you kill... If it's one human rights crime and there's another human rights crime, if there's two human rights crimes in the Cambodian jungle,
crimes.
They're both crimes. Okay. And no one's around to hear it. Is it still...
Yeah, no, George, that's two human rights crimes.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely
that's not
right.
zero.
I was just thinking out
double or nothing.
Double or nothing. Put it on red.
There's been drone footage and phone footage and stuff of like hundreds of people leaving some of these, foreigners, not local Cambodians, foreigners.
Imagine you've just won a three-way multi and the fucking casino gets bombed. And you go, oh, of course when I win, naturally. I get a pink slip?
Well, yeah.
Do I get an IOU from the bombed casino?
You don't. And a lot of the casinos employing these foreign workers are obviously, they're not paying them properly and all this other stuff. So it's all very dodgy and very dark and horrible. And I mean, I don't want to say it, but perhaps the best chance there is at peace would actually be from Donald Trump if he starts threatening extra sanctions.
Don't say it. Don't.
I mean, he might. It's not. He's not doing it for Russia, but like, if it works on Thailand and Cambodia, then maybe it's worth doing.
The last thing I want to say before I get onto the Thailand thing is my secret to an excellent bolognese sauce is a little sugar. I know it seems counterintuitive. It really cuts the acidity, okay? It's something I know a lot about. Many, many people have said so. Friend of the show, Polyverse, is writing in casino bombings, holy heck. Two wrongs don't make a right, George. Well, that's where you're wrong, Polyverse. I think two human rights crimes at the same time cancel each other out. Debate me. Prove me wrong.
No, George, they're both.
Not a lawyer. No, this does not constitute legal advice. Just bolognese advice.
But yeah, I mean, Thailand's probably the more well-equipped military out of the two. But, it's mountainous jungle terrain and a lot of civilians live in the area. So it's not good, as they say.
Yeah, famously, the secret US bombing campaign in Cambodia went great, as I recall. Definitely won that illegal
I mean, the guy who spearheaded it lived for a gajillion years, so it did well for him.
Well, only the good die young, R.I.P. Kissinger. So speaking of lovely people, Donald Trump has advised that, or the Trump administration rather, has advised that foreign tourists heading to the United States are to disclose their social media information. Now, what this means for tourists is that essentially if you are planning on heading to the US next year, you need to check that
Why?
your social media history has not had anything negative to say about Donald Trump or the United States at all in
Or
the
any of their
last
policies,
5
yeah.
years. Which, given the fact that Donald Trump is a virtual fire hose of nonsense and bullshit, might be difficult. So the US is proposing that visa-exempt foreign tourists, including Australians, disclose information about their social media, email accounts, phone numbers, and extensive family history to the Department of Homeland Security before being approved for travel. So the US has what's called an ESTA. I forget the electronic something or other. But essentially, you don't need to apply for a visa if you're traveling there as a tourist. You fill out this online form. You get
if you're from a preferred country.
from one of these countries.
Yeah. It sounds like we have that for the UK. I remember when I went there recently.
It's okay.
just
We're all white people. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
We're not one of the shithole countries.
Yeah, we're not. It's not a
apparently.
shithole country. It's the shithole country exemption, I think. So, so essentially, what you do is you fill out this ESTA, which is basically like it's quite a comprehensive document. As like a tourist who's going there, you can only be there for 90 days. You got to declare a lot of stuff, and like it's quite comprehensive for like just a visitor's sort of tourist document that you're filling out. Now you're going to potentially have to include social media history, your email accounts, family history. The family history one really fucks me around because like, what does that have anything to do with me going to the Hawaii for a holiday? You know what I mean? It's like, it's literally like, who cares what my views are on Donald Trump? And we really expect, and the expectation is that, Australia being one of the 42 countries listed on this visa waiver program means that if you travel and get an ESTA, you're subject to these restrictions. And presumably, if you've said something mean about Donald Trump in the last 5 years, which is not difficult to do because he's a fucking idiot, you may be denied entry into the country. You might get detained and questioned if there's something.
I guess what we're saying is that
incorrect and that you've
the
lied about it
Hawaii
inadvertently. Like
holiday for unnatural selection is off the cards.
I just booked flights.
I was really looking forward to it.
These are non-refundable, Adam.
How do you?
Should have got travel insurance.
Should have got the flexi fare. Try to save money.
Is handing over the 5 years of social media history like what? You just tell them your handle? Like, how do you do you have to download your data?
I think it is a matter of them requesting access to your phone on the ground, and you're obliged to open it and provide it to them, and they'll scan through if asked. And they'll go through it. And we've seen examples of this earlier in the year when people were entering the United States that had said negative things about Trump in the past. There was a woman in the UK who was detained for like several days. It's only once it became a national news story that she was released.
Happened to an Australian as well.
Yeah, there was an Australian guy who was a writer who'd written things that were critical about Trump, and same thing. He was detained and then eventually headed home, but like after 96 hours in ICE detention facility, you know what I mean? Like, and not exactly the most comfortable sort of experience. So it's I think you just give them the handle, and whether or not, because like let's say it's Facebook, right? But it's mandatory. This is the point: is you have to provide it if you want entry to the United States.
But what I'm not sure about is like, so you give them the handle. If it's public, I guess they'll look through it, maybe search it with an AI algorithm. If it's
Control F Trump.
If it's private, I don't know whether that means that then there is, are they definitely going to search it on arrival? Like that would be completely inefficient. I can't imagine they're going to check every single tourist's social media on arrival.
Will they check everyone? Will they check everyone? No. But if they've Googled
will it be spot?
And you're a comedian
maybe,
and you've had jokes about Trump in the past, they go, let me see your phone. Oh, it turns out there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. Yeah. I remember Alice Fraser, the comedian, talked about cancelling her American tour because she didn't want to be in a position where she would be detained because she's been very publicly online criticizing Trump and the Trump regime. So this chilling effect is already having, regardless of how this particular policy plays out, people are already worried about and concerned about things like this happening. And now it's officially part of their policy that they can go through your fucking phone and social media and make sure you don't tweet anything mean about the president. How things
just hilarious.
Ridiculous.
About a country that's got a right to free speech. But anyway.
First Amendment. It was the first one.
Yeah, well, they got a right to free speech, but they have it, Adam. We don't.
Yeah,
We're not American.
I'm just a visitor.
I thought there was a case in the Supreme Court where they tested that, and it's like anyone in the United States.
In the United States. You're not in
we
there
don't have
yet
to let you in. You're just in the airport, buddy. That's fucking Canada as far as I'm concerned, buddy.
You're not on any, you haven't set foot on any freedom soil yet.
Just like Tom Hanks hanging out in the terminal.
Yeah, this is just fucking LAX, buddy. This is no man's land.
It's just crazy as well, because not only the fucking going through your social media, dystopian 1984-ness of it all notwithstanding, but then if anyone who's a TSA agent or whatever and is a bit tech savvy and wants to be you have to hand me your phone unlocked, sweet, I'm just gonna hook it up to my little scanner here and whoop, strip everyone's data and it's just rife for exploitation.
Yeah.
I would not.
Do you just log off
States.
of all your log out of all your social media accounts? So you can get into my phone.
Wouldn't that be part of the thing though? Is
you're obliged to provide it.
I don't know what password is.
Yeah, okay, great. Let's have a chat here in this little fucking questioning room for 12 to 46 hours until you remember.
Yeah, maybe this gulag will jog your memory.
As someone who is
insane,
whose name is spelt Jorge, and has said numerous highly critical things about the Trump regime.
George, your last name starts with a silent T. You're fucked.
I'm fucked. I'm fucked, mate. There's nothing I could do. I would not feel safe going to America right now for many reasons. Not just because my name's technically Jorge, right? So, it's it is not a safe place to be if you're not part of the groupthink. I can't imagine.
You could preempt it and just start being like, MAGA, let's go. We could just turn the podcast into an excuse. If we do want to go to Hawaii, let's just get 6 months of
love
MAGA
Donald Trump.
love.
I suggest you only listen to the last 3 or 4 episodes of the podcast just to get a real flavor of how our views have evolved. So
let's spread the seed for 6 months at least. Let's give it some lead time. Let the algorithm Google catch up with it.
Rig up.
I really do think
every second of every day just posts MAGA, just that and just that. So when they scroll through 5 years worth, or they only scroll through a month's worth, but it's whoa, you just do nothing but post the word MAGA. Yeah, you can come in.
I think we're gonna not let you in. You're too into it.
yeah. They're whoa, you are coming on way
just
too
wearing
strong.
5 "Make America Great Again" hats, just one on top of the other, like Steve Bannon. Just no, there's something about this guy I don't trust.
I look like 3 kids in a trench coat, but all of them are wearing MAGA hats.
Yes, MAGA. It's just MAGA hats all the way down.
American flags tasseled to your nipples. It's very confusing. Anyway.
Oh, that's unrelated. That's just a me thing. That's just I do that for fun. Yeah, no, it's incredibly concerning because it's as we talked about last week. It's really institutionalizing the kind of jingoistic far right kind of borderline fascistic sort of politics.
Well,
directly
the
into their procedures.
Yeah. Aren't they also taking DNA as well now? Or that part of it was
I don't know about tourists, people? But I know there's biometrics being employed for sure. Yeah, that's definitely.
I knew they take.
They already take a scan of your face, and that was the case in fucking 2017 when I went. But it was never a concern that I don't know, it felt different. It's everyone knew Trump was bad, and lots of people were highly critical of Trump. And I was going to Seattle, which is obviously a very liberal leftist city. There was never a concern that the federal administration was going to that I couldn't get into the country and start rounding people up because of their social media posts or their thoughts or their podcasts. This is a whole other level, and now it's been institutionalized in policy. It's concerning.
Yeah, congrats, America! You fucked your tourism industry.
Yeah,
well done.
Numbers from Australia went down, and then they went back up again a little bit. Apparently, so they've dipped, they went back up, but I suspect they'll drop again based on this. getting pushed for time. George, what the hell is a hopper chip, and why should the US not sell them to China?
Hopper. I've been watching Stranger Things. So, last month, the Trump administration decided not to export a version of NVIDIA's flagship Blackwell AI chips to China. With President Trump stating, quote, "We will not let anybody have the most advanced AI chips other than the United States." And there have been a number of cases where Chinese nationals smuggling some of these chips, including the H200 chips, into China have actually been prosecuted. So pardon incoming. Pardon is on its way. And it's been a policy from the Biden administration that's up until this point been carried forward that, yeah, it's in America's strategic interest, given that these Hopper chips, which is the most advanced version of the previous generation of NVIDIA chips, which are specialized for AI, training and inference, not be released to China in order to maintain America's global supremacy in the AI race. Now, since then, Trump has been hanging out with his billionaire buddies, including people like David Sachs, who has a lot of interests in this space. And the argument that he's been propounding has been essentially that what we want to do is we want to get China hooked on American tech. If we can be the platform that everyone's doing AI stuff on, then that will ensure American supremacy going forward. And NVIDIA, which is a company that is, I believe it's hosted in, like, the actual operations occur mainly in Taiwan, but it's headquartered in America, whatever. Obviously, NVIDIA, in this case, the most valuable company in the world. Currently, it's heading towards a $5 trillion market cap. And I remember when I did an evaluation of the shares in 2018, and I said, it's overpriced. Don't worry, the market's going to react. They're going to come back down. There's no way. Anyway, it's up 13,000% since then, something like that. So I could have bought this house outright if I just put the amount of money that I was thinking into those stocks, but that's fine. It's not important. Value investing. Anyway, so yeah, it has now got a market capitalization between $4 and $5 trillion. NVIDIA is the most valuable company in the world currently because they provide the GPUs, the graphics processing units that undergird all of this AI stuff, right?
Not that you need a graphics processing unit to run AI. They're just
real good at it.
Good at it, yeah.
And often have a shit tons of RAM.
Yeah. Yes. So, and obviously this is a very profitable part of their operation. They're selling a lot of these high-end graphics chips, and these ones are like specialized for AI usage, not just like a graphics card that you have in your computer to play video games, right? It's a different architecture. Now, the argument from the administration now, just a month later, is that actually we're going to... I've had a little chat with David Sachs, and we've decided that we're going to sell these chips directly to China. And this article, this report from the IFP is titled with the question, should the US sell Hopper chips to China? To which the answer is no. That they should absolutely not be doing this, because even though the Hopper is the H200 is the most advanced of the previous generation of chips, what it essentially means is that because of the supply constraints that China has currently in terms of building their own chips, and Huawei is something like 2027 is going to be 2027 before they have something comparable to this. Essentially what it's going to do is it's going to reduce the lead that American companies have over Chinese companies in the AI race substantively. So it's run a couple of different models here, but essentially assuming that the best case scenario is that the US doesn't send any chips to China and there's no smuggling and no, any of these circuitous ways of obtaining chips through third countries and things like that. The US is expected to have a 21 times or 49 times advantage against China in this race because of the amount of chips that they're able to create and supply and sell to American companies and friendly countries. What this would do is it essentially would, if the Americans are selling these chips directly to China, is that it would reduce that lead from say conservatively 21 times reduce it down to 1.2 times or 2.1 times. So significantly reduces the amount of lead. So basically China would be able to do what America is currently doing with their AI build out at a 50% cost premium, which for the Chinese with unlimited money would be something that they would be absolutely willing to subsidize. So even though the Blackwells are the most recent, additions of these chips and are meant to be X times more powerful, if the Americans are now allowed to sell these chips to China, the Chinese could make up the deficit within, 12, 18 months. And hearing David Sachs...
time that's happened in the technology race with China. I mean, they historically have been able to retroactively, what do they say? Re-engineer.
Reverse engineer.
Reverse engineer, thank you.
But this is not that. There are very real supply constraints as to what the Chinese can make. And the thing is that the argument that David Sachs and others make is that, we flood them with NVIDIA chips, it'll kill their domestic production, and then they'll have to use NVIDIA chips, and all that money for those NVIDIA chips is coming to America, and America will be dominant. It's like, well, except that there's no evidence that it would constrain China's domestic supply at all. So they would have their AI chips that they're building via Huawei and other companies, and the H100 and H200 NVIDIA chips as well that you're allowing to be sold there. Not just that, it would constrain American supply because now a third, roughly, of those chips that you're selling domestically in the United States are now going to China. So they're going to be competing on price. So there's going to be fewer of them in the United States as well. So there's no evidence, because there are supply chain, I read about it, it was something to do with like particular dyes and things that they just don't have access to. They can only scale, the Chinese can only scale up their manufacturing so much. It is severely constrained at the moment with these sort of latest chips. So it really is just a complete giveaway to the Chinese government. But for the reason of, the only thing I can think about it is that it makes ginseng really rich.
CEO of NVIDIA.
CEO of NVIDIA. He goes from having a $4 trillion market cap to a $5 trillion market cap because now all these extra people are buying his chips. So, him and David Sachs and all the other tech AI bros are probably really happy about it because it means they get to line their pockets at the long-term strategic expense of the United States. And if we take the technologists at their word when they say that the AI race is existential and America needs to win it, because I'm not convinced that this is the case, of course, but if we take them at their word and say that, we need a good democratic governance, not fascist country like the United States in charge of AI, not a communist fascist country like China in charge of AI going forward, if you buy that as an existential threat, then why on earth would you allow the Chinese to have access to this latest of the last generation of chips?
Because money, George. Because money.
There's no other reason except Trump and his cronies aligning their pockets. Now, I like
and Trump being the the stalwart that he is, obviously said no to all this, right?
No, he's waved it through. So
okay, right.
It's happening.
Yeah, he's like, great idea.
Yeah. How much bolognese am I going to be able to buy with this money? That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it's
when he's not doing that, he's also seizing oil tankers, apparently.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So there was a little bit
how
of
they'll make up the shortfall.
A little bit of a furor.
All that oil they just got.
A little bit of a furor this week when it emerged that Trump authorized the theft of a Venezuelan oil tanker, to which he, and when asked by a journalist as to what they were intending to do with it, he said this.
In the siege of this tanker, what happens to the oil on this ship?
Well, we keep it, I guess.
Where does it go? What port does it go to?
Well, you have to follow the tanker. You're a good newsman. Just follow the tanker.
Do you know where it's going?
Follow it. Get a helicopter and follow the tanker.
Is it true it's going to
But we're gonna. I assume we're gonna keep the oil.
I assume.
I mean, I guess we're going to keep the oil. We
keep it, I guess.
What the fuck?
I don't know. Who knows what's happening with all of my various regime change wars.
Yeah. You got to follow the tanker. I don't know. Yeah, you guys are ambulance chasers, right? It's like chasing an ambulance.
Jared said they were going to do an incredible job with it, and I shouldn't ask too many questions. Also, I've got my hand strategically placed
so you can't see the weird fucking bruise that I've had for the last 2 months. I'm definitely in the prime of my life. So
they seized this tanker. Yeah.
Could you imagine
I
how
think-
apoplectic the United States would be if Venezuela seized an American oil tank? Like, that's literally what kicked off fucking Vietnam. The Vietnam War was that there was some the Gulf of Tonkin incident, you know, which
was a stitch
which
up.
ended up being
anyway.
a false flag, yes, but like. Oh, it's just incredible, like the double standard. It's just like, hey, yeah, well, we saw it, we're going to take it. And it's like, man, empire is as empire does. They're just like, yeah, that's fine, we're going to take it. What's going to happen to the oil? I don't know. What about the president?
Do you want it?
I got an incredible deal on a tanker's worth of oil.
I don't even know why they took it. Is it to do with sanctions they've got on oil, or is it just because they thought it might be having drugs?
I really
Well, I
think it was
mean,
just like,
yeah.
there's an oil tanker in waters. It's not protected. We've got all these military assets in the area. Let's just fucking take it. Could be leverage, could be whatever. Like, let's just take it. What are they going to do?
I mean, it's not
Stop us?
looking good. The US has deployed a squadron of growlers in there as well, which are electronic attack aircraft. So,
Yeah, I launched a
mean,
growler into my toilet this morning.
Like you wouldn't need growlers unless you were planning on taking out.
What is a growler, Adam, for the uninitiated?
It's
Sounds like a drone.
it's electronic attack aircraft. It's an F-18 with jamming signals and jamming pods and stuff on it. But
Right.
the point being is you wouldn't use them unless you're planning on taking out basically radar sites and military infrastructure, or you want to use it for area denial for friendly air forces.
So translating that into not military speak, it suggests potentially a build-up that might lead to some sort of ground invasion.
It's an offensive weapon.
Yeah.
Whee!
Speaking of offensive, Donald Trump called J.D. Vance incompetent. Here's Donald Trump saying some words.
Over the fraud scandal in his state.
And who should?
Tim Walz. Over the fraud scandal in his state.
Look, I think the man's a grossly incompetent man. I thought that from the day I watched JD destroy him in the debate. I was saying, who was more incompetent, that man or my man? I had a man and he had a man. They were both incompetent.
So if you're J.D. Vance, the vice president, watching that, you're just going, why am I catching strays, Donald?
Yeah.
The question was
Jeez.
about Tim Walz. Why?
What did I do?
What did I do?
I worked out why they flagged down a tanker. So the ship was sanctioned by the US in 2022 over accusations of belonging to a sophisticated network of shadow tankers that smuggled crude oil on behalf of Iran's Revolutionary Guard and Lebanon's Hezbollah militant group.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a post hoc justification at all, does it? That sounds like, oh, this is the tanker. This is the Bin Laden of tankers. We finally,
They
ladies and
sanctioned it in
gentlemen,
2022.
ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
We gotta just throw the words Hezbollah and Iran in there somewhere, and then everyone will be like, "No, it was fine."
Oh, and there's literally been clips this week talking about the beating the drumbeat to war. Of that, the Daily Show did a classic Daily Show early 2000s side by side where they're showing Dick Cheney going, "They got weapons of mass destruction," and they go, "Yeah, and all the drugs that the Venezuelans are bringing in are literally weapons of mass destruction." And, it's like, the Al Qaeda of Latin America, like literally using some of the same people. Lindsey Graham saying the exact same shit that he said about Iraq and beating the drumbeat for war in Iraq in the early 2000s, saying it again a quarter of a century later about Venezuela. It's like, man, these people are just hollow, empty fucking sacks of shit. They're not real people. There's nothing, and so they're just empty suits. That's all they care about. It's just beating the drumbeat for Halliburton.
Hopper chips in a suit.
Run by Hopper, H200 chips. That seems like the case. But the thing is, if you got a Hopper 200, you could at least do some advanced reasoning and inference there to work out that maybe that's probably not a good idea.
Mitch McConnell's running on a much older chip.
Oh, yeah. He's running on the H20. There's so much buffering time with Mitch McConnell. You saw that this week, that he had another, just kind of breakdown moment.
Yeah, Mitch McConnell is definitely not running on TSMC's 4 nanometer process.
No, that's a 7 nanometer if ever I saw it. He's dial-up, Mitch McConnell. On that note, We have been, we are, we always will be Unnatural. I would love actually a supercut of the any time that Mitch McConnell has one of his freezes to have the dial-up
frozen.
noise, the beep, 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 beep. just to have that sound going over the top of it.
Ask and you shall receive.
If you're under 30, that joke makes no sense to you. On that note, we have been, we are, and we will be Unnatural Selection. Make sure you visit us at our salubrious home on the web, unnaturalshow.com. Make sure you follow us on all the bullshit social medias that are ruining the world, that have, do, or ever will exist at our handle at Unnatural Show. That's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and mother flipping TikTok. Or you can take the words of our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and read a book instead. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram at George Tsipos.
You can follow me on Threads at tom.heath.
And you can follow me down to Lemon8, where I'll be starting up my new social media account.
I wouldn't throw your weight behind just a random
Just love lemons.
internet company name. Who knows what's, it's going to be like,
knows
oh,
what
we
they
looked
do.
up Lemonade. It's actually human trafficking. It's just human traffickers, three human
Out of the
traffickers in
Cambodia,
a trench
Cambodia
coat.
Thai border. Yeah.
No
good.
That is a joke and not based on actual evidence. Please don't sue me, Lemonade. Thanks for listening, guys. Love your faces. We will see you next week, provided we don't get a cease and desist.
Might get sued by Linda Reynolds.
Yeah, maybe. It's just as well no one listens. Otherwise, we could get in some real trouble for the things we say on this podcast.